This week on the Legion Clubhouse, boy, are we hungry for justice.
They were the heroes from the future, teenagers protecting the universe from those that would sow the seeds of chaos. Each had unique powers and abilities, and though they often had their differences, they came together to save the day as the Legion of Superheroes. Now, you can be a part of their adventures and learn the history of the future in the Legion Clubhouse.
A lot of deaths this week, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of brutal deaths this week, or at least a lot of brutal abuse this week as Roxxas strikes on the planet of Winamp.
Winamp? No. We had to do it.
He's going to kick the llama's butt.
I got to admit, it is ugly. And I remember when I read this, not knowing what I know now, I was hot. I was really mad because I was already irked about a block dying. But then Roxxas just wanders in and starts picking people off.
Well, I mean, that was the plan all along, right? The Dominators want him to keep the Legion from reforming, even if it means killing them. He killed Block to lure them all to Shambhala to kill him there, but then instead everybody went to Wynneth, and he's like, well, I guess I'll just go there and start taking them out. I mean, he's a Dexamite, right? So I mean, he's got the power to do it.
Roxxas is a what you want to call it?
A Tromian? I thought he was a Daxamite.
No, he's a Daxamite in the second chronology.
Oh, okay.
He's a Daxamite after the revamp. I want to say that this Roxxas, he's not a Traumite because the only surviving Traumite is Jan. Yeah. But I think Kevin Roxxas, what planet are you from, Kevin Roxxas? Roxxas in the reboot chronology is the leader of the White Triangle, and he is in fact a Daxamite.
Yeah.
Let me see. It doesn't tell me where he's from. Well, he's not really super powered, and I don't know exactly.
Well, that's
if you ever
interesting
go back to his original appearances, he looks like.
Well, it's interesting because when mech'd, so Roxxas is going under disguise, or he's invisible until he's ready to attack, and Bounty and Celeste Rockfish go up against him. And Mechta's there, and Mechta's like, oh, hey, you don't want to do this. Don't make me unleash my powers. And then just kind of gives him a static shock. Mech should be able to, like, obliterate Roxxas down to ash, to just his boots smoking on the pavement.
The back matter of this issue, the second Omnicom, is a record of Mech on Labyrinth. And talking about the 3 years of basically
rehabilitation,
psychic trauma rehabilitation that he went through. And I feel like Mech can't channel his rage anymore. He can't
or won't
call the lightning. Won't, I think, is probably a better way of it.
Because I think it feels like when you're reading it, he's like, oh man, I don't want to have to go down the dark side. If you give me one hit of this Mary Jane that all the kids are doing, I'm just going to be drawn right back in, and I'll never be able to drag myself out of the heck hole that is the marijuana. And so he's just like, I'll give him just a little bit of an electrocution.
And he's just like, damn you. And it really, I mean, you're right. It does look like just a big, hot kind of a stick your finger in a light socket. By the way, kids, don't put nickels in the light sockets. But yeah, that's the point where I started getting mad at this issue, because Roxxas shows up and literally just beats the snot out of Mech. And Mech is not fighting back. Mech is literally a pacifist. He does not want to fight. And Roxxas knocks him down and then just kicks him while he's down. And he poisons Bounty. And of course, we get another bit of, oh, you think you could change your hair color and fool me, eh? I know who you really are, Bounty. Hinting at her identity as the quicker picker-upper of the Legion of
That's what I was like. I mean, she's not wearing a plaid shirt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're thinking of Brawny. That's her big
It's
brother.
the same thing.
Yeah. And of course, the thing that really, really makes this issue even more horrifying is we're cutting back and forth from Roxxas kind of cutting a swath through people, beating Celeste in the head, using her face the way I used a screwdriver to bust up a bag of ice at my last outdoor party. And at the same time, Shrinking Violet is worried about seeing Rock again for the first time after, their encounter at Venado Bay. And Chameleon Boy and Celeste are, I'm just going to say it, Chameleon Boy and Celeste are absolutely in the throes of flirting. I don't know what they're doing or why they're doing it, but they are just like, they are gonna until
I don't think they are because Chameleon Boy gets shot in the head by Roxxas. So fortunately,
but I mean,
as we will learn,
he keeps his feathers numbered for just such an
he keeps his organs reorganized for just such an emergency. Kind of the same reason why the doctor has two hearts in case somebody shoots him in one of them. He's got the other one as a backup. Kind of those kinds of things.
And why Lieutenant Worf has two spines and 3 foreheads. But we also
it's pretty shocking, though. I mean, if you don't know, knowing what's coming up next with that reveal, when you see him get shot in the head, you're like, oh, holy cow, he's already killed Celeste. He's already pretty much killed Bounty
and
probably what's his name? Your favorite Irish guy from the Daily Planet.
Oh, Devlin, all right. No, Devlin's not dead yet.
Well, I mean, they kind of imply that, he's running off and he's lost because, and then Roxxas
he's running off into the wild bees is what he's doing.
Well, but that he's attacked by Roxxas on his way back to the Rand's residence. And it's just, it's pretty intense and it's pretty shocking, especially when you get to Jonah, who ends up coming face to face with him, and he's using as many of his powers as he can. He can only use one at a time. And then Roxxas throws like a ring at him and obliterates him.
Yes, just takes him out and a whole chunk of floor. But this is also an example, and I think I said a couple of issues ago, the first time I really saw it, but this is an example of how this creative team treats I can't say Kryptonian anymore, so the Daxamite power set treats them as something entirely different, because literally Roxxas just cuts a swath through people, smashing their faces, crushing them, and then in a page, Joe shows up and beats him mercilessly in the course of 6 panels, and then he's like, ha, he slows down for a second, and Roxxas gets in a shot. But at this point, it's clear that this guy is now officially busted up. He's bleeding internally. His face is swollen. He's, spitting blood. And I really, as the series goes on, I really start to feel like the treatment of these are the invulnerable people with super strength, and then there's everybody else, becomes a real annoying thing that keeps popping up.
That's what I'm saying.
Now,
he's got to be, some kind of level powered, like a Daxamite, or else he wouldn't be able to take on.
Nope, he's just a dude.
Well, he shouldn't be able. He should be again a wet spot. There's no reason why Jonah at this point should be holding back.
Yeah, he's bleeding. He's badly been.
Well, no, there's a difference between bleeding and
Joe's not a killer too. I mean, he's still a Legionnaire. He still, has the
Legion doesn't exist right now. They've been disbanded. They've been told that they no longer exist. The United Planets, EarthGov, everybody's like, nope, sorry guys. He's been to he hasn't been to war. Cosmic Boy has been to war. But he is everybody is out for blood because of what Roxxas has done to Block. And now then when they find out what happens to Chameleon Boy, and of course Saturn Girl already knows because she's using her mental powers and she's pregnant again. We find out in this issue.
And as soon as she touches on Roxxas's brain, she literally leaps back and her nose starts bleeding. It's like she gets punched in the face trying to read the minds of Kevin. Ugh, it's bad. Pregnant women bleeding from the face. That is not what I want to see on television. I'm sorry.
Well, good thing it's not television and it's a comic book.
It's Holovision.
And then, of course, I don't know. As horrible and as murderous as Roxxas is, I kind of like him as this ongoing major threat during this 5-year later run.
Yeah, and especially up to this point, because it is clear that, there haven't been a lot of truly, truly powerful Legion villains who can take on a whole Legion.
I mean, we've seen like Starfinger, and we've seen
your Mordros,
but we don't. I mean, they're usually taken down fairly easily, and we are 10 issues in, and he continues to be a threat.
And he's just a guy with a plan and some really, really wicked gear that he got from the EarthGov. And I think that that's also worth taking into account. That's kind of that more grounded, that I don't want to say street level, because I will just absolutely hate that term. Hate it. But it's definitely a more grounded type of storytelling, even with the Legion, even with, a Daxamite or a pseudo Daxamite, even with Chameleon Boy in play. This is a book where you can get a broken arm. You can get badly wounded. You can be sidetracked because you're pregnant or you have PTSD. Your powers don't work and you have to, stay out of combat. It's really kind of, to me, one of my favorite eras of the Legion, because it manages to kind of balance out all of these crazy powers and these ridiculously powerful powers.
More and more people, say how much they love this era of the Legion, and I can see it because this is not your grandfather's Legion, right? This is not your 1950s Legion. This is a Legion that is dealing with post Dark Knight Returns, post Watchmen, in a world where comics now are more grim and gritty and more adult than, hey, girls are icky, let's separate them and make them go be on that side of the club, or whatever that nonsense was back in the day. And when you get to engage with discussions of sexual relations and murder and political intrigue, I can see the appeal for people because of the fact that, hey, comics aren't just for kids anymore, right? But at the same time, this is still very dense for people to get through, right? If
it is,
and part of it is, I think, a little bit with Keith Giffen and Al Gordon, in that if you're not really paying attention on who has stubble on their face and who doesn't, the framing of Cosmic Boy and Jonah are, they're almost identical in their look. To where you're like, oh, who just ran off and is fighting with Roxxas? Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense now. So there's some issues there, but overall, this is a fairly solid issue. I like that people are breaking in. I like the cross cutting between what's going on with the broadcast and what's going on with the Dominators, and the greater reveal. Like I've been asking since the beginning, have the Dominators taken over the Earth? And sure enough, that is the thing that is happening, even though it seems like everyone else is unaware that the Dominators have taken over the Earth. And so, it's really cool until we get to the last couple of pages.
Actually, that's the point that I really appreciate, because we finally see the green energy make a move. And of course, now that Block is no more, rest in pieces, the greatest remaining Legionnaire returns to the fold at the end of
we'll talk more about it in the next issue, because it's a different character than what we've seen in the past. But we are introduced to Walking Currency, and we get to see the return of Matter Eater Lad, which is really kind of cool. We're also introduced to his assistant, Calorie Queen. That's how they kind of end that issue with that return, which, again, big cut, because it's been decades since Matter Eater Lad was a member of the team. The last time we saw him, he was president of his planet, and he's like, "Sorry, I'm no longer going to help you guys." And that was like in the 70s or something when that happened.
Yep.
So
the Legion, and I know you've wiped it out of your memory, but the Legion of Substitute Heroes special from 84, 85 would be the last place we saw Tenzil. But yeah, also this is 5 years later, Tenzil. This is something entirely new.
Yeah.
If you enjoy the show, we would appreciate your support. You can find out more and become a Legion Clubhouse member at patreon.com/major spoilers.
So we get to issue 11, and I'm not sure. I mean, I like the style. I like the look that Tenzil Kem had. Don't get me wrong on that. I like the concept of a matter eater lad, although, a lot of people make fun of it. The biggest problem is previously he was a solid character. Here he's like a joke. And I'm not sure why they decided to make him a joke character.
The thing that's most interesting to me is that Tenzil wants you to think he's a joke. He, in terms of mature storytelling power, in terms of referent power, in terms of influence, we have just met the most powerful 5 years later Legionnaire. We saw him waltz onto Earth, just walk through the United Planets blockades going, "Hey, I'm here. I got a waiver. I'm an archaeologist." Tenzil has connections. Tenzil has political power. You cannot do to Senator Kem of the planet Bisnol, who is internationally or intergalactically famous, what you can do to, Little Orange Reap Daggle or Devlin Orion from the Keeping of the Irish. Tenzil has connections. He has money. He has power. He has influence, and he can control his narrative to where people don't think of that way. And I really do love the fact that Matter Eater Lad, who has been mocked for years as, "Oh, he's got the stupidest power in the world," for the rest of this arc of Legion.
And Dream Girl.
For the rest of this arc of Legion, up until things start to really go off the rails, Matter Eater Lad is a major player. He is the guy who gets them things. I mean, Cam has money, and Cosmic Boy has a plan, and Brainiac has, green skin and green eyes. But it's really Tenzil's presence that gives this proto-Legion, or this group of schmucks who want to be a Legion, actually gives them some sort of clout, some sort of oomph throughout
the problem is you're saying this is what's going to happen going forward. In this issue, that's not what's happening. They present Tenzil Kem
he's a lawyer
as an idiot throughout the entire piece. Even in his defense, it is a Marx Brothers routine from start to finish. This is not your Perry Masons. This is not an episode of Columbo. This is literally a Marx Brothers routine that they are putting forth to show how, quote unquote, ridiculous Tenzil Kem is. Now, if the point is he's doing this as an affront and he's been playing 4D chess this entire time, that's fine. But in this first reintroduction of Tenzil Kem, which, again, a lot of readers haven't seen him for 20 years, it's not a good look for him.
I kind of feel like, for me, I see him not quite as like the Bugs Bunny archetype, but a cartoon character. He does not take himself seriously. He doesn't want you to take himself seriously. And that's kind of the awesome point. And you are right. We keep talking about, is Calorie Queen his assistant? No, Calorie Queen is actually the senator. She's the one who is handling the senatorial duties.
Yeah, she's the one running the auto lad. Yeah.
Right. And Matter Eater Lad is out there, flirting with women, putting things together. figuring out stupid stuff. He literally sits up all night studying law to remember his Bismolian law so that he can protect, and you want to talk about a joke, so he can try and defend Polar Boy, who was arrested for having a pep rally in a pizza parlor. But throughout the issue, I always get the feeling that he's not necessarily a step ahead. He's not necessarily, a mastermind. He's just really clever, and he's really willing to kind of ploy his way through things and let people make their own mistakes, let people do something that he can later capitalize on. And yeah, I can definitely see where you can look at that and say, this guy's a joke. But he's also the one who figures out through his own foolishness the defense. How does he get him off?
He comes across as that, what is it, is it an anime or manga lawyer who's always like pointing and he's just waiting for the last
Phoenix,
minute.
right?
Yeah, I guess that's who it is.
Objection!
But the whole thing is just like, hey, put on this dumb costume. That's how we're going to get you out of it. Hey, we're going to slam a pie in your face. Waka waka. Isn't that silly? That shows that he's not in his right mind. He's secretly a Green Lantern. And it's not until, somebody does slip up that he's like, hey, wait a minute. And then he tries to ply that. Now, the good thing is the prosecutor likes him and kind of agrees with what's going on and allows the case to be dismissed. But he is not showing any true lawyering in this issue. It is just a joke.
I don't think that it's a joke, though. I think that it's obfuscation. I think that he is wanting
that's fine.
Everyone to take him as a joke.
That's fine. But like I said, if he's all this time playing 4D chess and people are supposed to look at him as a buffoon, that's one thing. But in this issue, that hasn't been proven as the case. So you don't bring enough evidence to this courtroom, Mr. Peterson, in light of the evidence presented in this issue.
Objection!
Nope, sorry. Your case is dismissed.
I strenuously object. I will say this.
There are some cool things in this issue beyond the Bugs Bunny and the Marx Brothers routine. Is I do like that each of these shows that Tenzil Kem is trying to be in all kind of have the same kind of intro and same kind of eating jokes.
Boy,
and
we're in a pickle, and that makes me hungry.
Yeah.
And you don't want to make me hungry.
I like that Wild Archaeology is presented by Mutual of Obsidians, which is a riff on the old Mutual of Omaha TV series, Wild Kingdom, for those people who are old enough to remember that. And quite frankly, the only people listening to this know who Marlon Perkins and Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom are. So I like that. I like that they are like, and again, if this is to say, oh, he wants people to think he's an idiot, then going to Metropolis looking for the race of giant presidents.
Titan presidents of Bismol.
And then discovering the Batcave is funny as heck.
And that Batcave joke is probably the pièce de résistance of Giffen's run on this book, because Giffen, for my money, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure I'm further to this is goofy than you are, and you'll be like, no, it was goofy 8 pages ago. For me, Giffen goes way too far into the slapstick sometimes, and he'll take a running gag and actually take these silly things and take them to the point where it's no longer interesting, it's no longer funny. The Bat Cave joke is perfect. It is so beautiful. And they are like, clearly the Titan presidents date back to prehistoric times. Note this Tyrannosaurus. And of course, the giant Joker card is like, we believe this is a Dan Quayle doormat. All of that just kind of works for me, and especially works for me in the context of 1989. But then there's also the moment at the end where, the actual archaeologist, like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And to me, that's the point.
You missed the part where the archaeologist is Bob Finger,
right?
Possibly a relative of Bill Finger, the creator of the Bat. Yeah,
the creator of the Bat Cave for sure. And that is why, at least for me, this is prime Matter Eater Lad. This is the best it will probably ever get for Matter Eater Lad, simply because Matter Eater Lad here is dynamic. Now, he's goofy. He doesn't take anything seriously. The super hot defense attorney is totally into him.
Prosecute.
Yeah. All of the stuff that's happening, it's just like somehow, and I suspect miracle machine radiation, somehow Tenzil has gained a really bad case of main character syndrome, but the universe is actually supporting and playing along with it. And it's really, really, to me, beautiful.
But again,
perfect, wonderful.
The problem that I have is he's never, ever been portrayed like this. And so for him to suddenly show up and be this way seems very out of character. And I think that's the part that I have a bit of an issue more than anything. Is it a fun issue? Sure, it's a fun issue. It brings back a beloved character. It lets us soak in the horrors or come to grips with the horrors of the previous issue. So we're flipping back and forth. Certainly we find out that not everybody is dead. Like Mech is not dead. Reap is not dead because he rearranges his organs. Bounty is in stable condition. Rockfish is probably going to die. In fact, Brainiac 5 even says so. So dead. It's an interesting and fun issue. I just right now, as his reintroduction, I don't like how he is portrayed.
I feel like in a book where everybody has come back severely changed, half a decade down the line, I understand what you're saying, but I also feel like we've seen a cosmic boy scarred by war. We've seen a chameleon boy who retired to become an executive and is now thinking like his dad and thinking through the boardroom. We've seen a PTSD shrinking Violet, and we've seen a completely powerless Lightning Lad and Cosmic Boy. And I kind of feel like I get it, but I also think that
we've seen their backstory.
The jump. Right. We haven't seen Tenzil's yet.
Yeah.
In issue, and I will grant you this, and I will continue to say this, and we're going to say this for probably the next 20 issues. The creative team has so many ideas, so many little concepts and bits and pieces, and they're honestly not all getting on the page. At this point, there's like 5 different mysteries in play. The bounty stuff is really annoying me because it's being played so close to the vest. I feel like it's possible to be reading this and not catch any of this bounty stuff. Why is she doing this? What is she actually doing? What's she playing at? All of that stuff, I feel, is, kind of like that moment where you look, is that Joe or is that Rock? I feel like it's kind of getting lost just in the sheer amount of detail. And these 2 issues do have, for me, 10 especially, has a problem that I'm going to say, and I'm going to realize, I want you to know, I know how stupid this sounds. Too many Legionnaires, too quickly. And so I kind of really love let's take a breath and mostly Tenzil doing his Tenzil thing, so that when everybody gets back together in a couple of issues, things will go where they end up going. But yeah, there are bits of this where I'm already starting to see all of this stuff, all of this world building, all of these stories and backstories and interactive stuff. And some of it is already starting to get left aside because they've got new ideas and stories and backstories, and we're going to put as much of it on the page as possible. And God bless Antenny Lad for getting that wonderful job as a news anchor for UPV Channel 4.
Yeah, and we also find out that Jonah is not dead. So there you go. I mean, it's in the book. There you go. Dear listener, was this issue too much whackety schmackety, or was it the break that this book needed, or this series needed, to let people cope with the death and destruction that they previously seen? Let us know. Head over to the Major Spoilers Discord server. There's a link in the show notes, and you can join it absolutely free. Jump into the Legion Clubhouse channel, and you can share your thoughts with all of the other cool kids that are showing up more and more each week. We want you to join us right there on the Major Spoilers Discord. Next week, we get a rebirth, and maybe there's a little bit of a charade going on. What's that all mean? You'll just have to tune in next time for the Legion Clubhouse.
The Legion Clubhouse is a production of Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC, and is produced by Steven Schleicher. Your hosts were Matthew Peterson and Steven Schleicher. You can follow Matthew at Mighty King Cobra and Steven at Major Spoilers. You can follow this podcast on Twitter at Legion Clubhouse. If you have questions or comments, send them to podcast@majorspoilers.com. I'm Jason Inman. Until next time, eat it, Grandpa.
This podcast is copyright 2024 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.